The old lady handed me the box with shaky hands. The bright pink frosting had already started to melt in the heat, and it was smeared all over the cardboard. It looked beautiful, even in its imperfect state. "Here you go, dear," the old lady said with a tired smile. "I made this for you." I took the box and opened it. Inside there was a magnificent cake, a true work of art. Layers of vanilla and chocolate sponge were separated by clouds of pink, orange, and blue frosting. On top sat an edible sugar flower that looked so real it almost made me sad. And in the center was a tiny glass jar filled with what seemed to be a rainbow. Light streamed through the jar, splitting into all the colors of the rainbow. "It's beautiful," I whispered, lost for words. The old lady beamed. "For your friend," my throat tightened. How could I explain to her that my best friend wasn't just a friend, that he was the love of my life, that he was my fiancé? How do you tell an old lady who only sees rainbows at the end of the road that her grandson is gay? But then again, why should I care what she thinks? This was my moment. I had been planning this for months. Taking a deep breath, I went back to the bakery. When James came with me, he looked confused, but I just shook my head and forced a smile. "Don't ask questions later," I mouthed. We got home and I put the cake on the table. James stared at it, his jaw slack. "What?" "Happy birthday," I said softly. His eyes widened and he ran to me, wrapping me in the tightest hug ever. Then he pulled away and cupped my face in his hands. "How did you Let's cut the cake before Grandma spoils the surprise," I whispered. James nodded, still staring at the cake. We each took a big slice and ate it slowly, savoring every bite. It was the best cake I'd ever tasted. The layers of sponge were perfectly moist. The frosting wasn't too rich or too light, and the flour tasted exactly like a summer sunset. But none of that mattered. All that mattered was the look on James's face as he ate the cake. His eyes shone with happiness, with gratitude, with love. And in that moment, I knew this was the best gift I could have given him. And then my grandma cleared her throat awkwardly. "So, when are you going to tell me who your boyfriend is?" James choked on his mouth full of cake. "Boyfriend." I rolled my eyes and threw a piece of frosting at my grandma. She shrieked and covered herself with a napkin. "What the hell, Mia? You're never going to let this go, are you?" I sighed. She shrugged. "I saw you two holding hands in the park. You can't hide things from me, sweetheart." "You're not listening," I said quietly. "Oh, I'm listening," she said softly. "Why do you get upset whenever I ask about him? You like him, don't you?" I looked at James, who had a hopeful expression on his face. Maybe it was the cake, but he looked younger, more innocent than usual. He reached out and took my hand. "It's not a secret anymore," he said. I nodded. My grandma smiled. It wasn't the kind of smile that reached her eyes, though. I could see the confusion, maybe even the hurt behind them. She stood up and walked to the window. "I thought we had more time," she whispered. "More time for what?" I asked. She turned around, to get to know him, to build a relationship. "You know, I have a grandson. Thought we'd have granddaughters-in-law and great-grandchildren running around here." Her voice cracked, and I knew she was crying. I wanted to tell her that I loved James, that he was my fiancé, but I couldn't. It would only hurt her more, so I lied. "I'm sorry, Grandma. I know you want that, but I'm not good enough for him. I'm not the right girl. I'm not like the girls he used to bring home." My grandma shook her head. "Nonsense. No one can love him more than I do. Doesn't mean you can't love him too. Just because you're different doesn't mean you can't love the same things." I made this cake for two people, my grandson and his boyfriend. I didn't make it for two girls. And you know what? I'm glad you brought him home. You're a good kid, Mia. You're a good person. If he loves you, then he must be a good judge of character. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. Of course she had made this cake for two guys. Why wouldn't she? What kind of horrible person would I be if I thought otherwise? My whole life I had avoided labels, shied away from defining myself. I was scared. Scared of losing my friends, scared of disappointing my family, scared of being alone. I shouldn't have been scared. Here was my grandma, a woman who probably hadn't had the easiest life, yet she was still kind, still loving, still open-minded. And here was me, complaining about how difficult my life was. It was pathetic. As I was about to apologize, my grandma placed a hand on my shoulder. "Just promise me you'll be happy, okay?" I looked into her eyes and saw the unconditional love and support she had for me. In that moment, I knew I didn't need to hide anymore. I didn't need to be ashamed. I was me, and I was loved. Later that day, after my grandma had left, James and I stood in the kitchen, surrounded by the remains of the beautiful cake. "I didn't know you were going to come out," he said. I smiled. "Neither did I, but I'm glad I did. My grandma is amazing. Do you think she knows?" He cupped my face in his hands. "No, she doesn't know anything except for the fact that you re the most important person in her grandson's life, and that matters. It matters more than anything else." I leaned into his touch, feeling the warmth of his hands on my skin. "Thank you," I whispered, "for everything." "No, thank you," he said. "You showed me what true love looks like. You showed me that it's okay to be who you are, that it's okay to love who you love. I'm so lucky to have you in my life." He kissed me then, a soft, sweet kiss that tasted like vanilla and sunshine. It was the perfect ending to the most perfect day.